What is the crack, everyone? B2B Sports. We are back. Sam is here.
As always,
Crack. It's the first podcast back of 2023. We had a bit of a
yeah.
break.
Happy New
Um,
Year.
Happy New Year. Me and Sam had a bit of a shocker to the end of
Have a great
2023.
New Year.
Both of us are ill. Sam had COVID. I just had.
My Christmas present was COVID for Christmas, so it was lovely. First time I've ever had it. Felt great.
Great.
Although I get my annual leave days back from work, so that's fine.
You actually
Yeah.
got a
So
result.
the 3 days I took as annual leave, I get those annual leave days back because I had COVID.
Oh, mate, you've actually had a result. You were meant to work.
Basically, I was meant to be in the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, um, Saturday, Sunday. I managed to get annual leave for the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I was working the Saturday, Sunday, and I managed to get all of it off because I've had COVID. I was positive till like Tuesday,
Okay.
but
Bit touch and go.
get my annual leave back. Still have like 15 days to take before end of March.
You know what day you've got to take off?
Oh, that's the thing. So
Super Bowl.
Georgie's friends are up that weekend. So I'm debating. I don't know what to do.
You got come back down, mate. We'll find a place to watch it.
I know, I know. Well, I'm thinking, what day is that? The 12th, isn't it?
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Luke's just put in the chat. Are you guys watching City? I don't want to. Obviously, we're recording this. Oh my word!
Right.
City are 2-0 down to Southampton.
Wow. What's the time in the game? It's half an hour. I'm not. I'm not sweating. Not sweating.
No,
They'll
no,
still
not
come
Spain
back.
at all.
Not.
But that's mad. But
Yeah.
yeah, 12th of February. See, Monday the 30th. I'm working late that day
Right.
already. So, which means I start at 10, so it's not like that late. But I'm debating whether I'm going to ask to try and get that annual leave, but we'll see.
But yeah, let's jump into NFL straight off the bat because it is the postseason.
Yep.
I guess we'll wrap up the
Okay.
last week of the regular season. Take it away, Sam. Absolutely gutted for you. Absolutely
Yeah.
gutted for you.
Bit of a mad week 18. A lot of teams can still make it. So in the AFC, the Pats had a good chance. The Steelers, who was the last team? And the Dolphins.
Dolphins,
Were basically the three teams vying for that last wildcard spot. Um, yeah, I think the Patriots had the hardest game. I think they had to play the Bills at the Bills. Um, like a week after they just had a miracle happen on their field, and um, obviously great that Hamler's doing well
yeah,
after
absolutely.
the
Yeah.
cardiac arrest. Looks like he's improved a lot, and it's quite something.
He's being sent
Um,
home, by the way. He's being sent
yeah,
home.
exactly.
Oh, yeah, amazing news. Absolutely amazing news.
Great recovery, and hopefully he can do great things again. They were obviously high morale. They had a nice chat with him beforehand the game.
Mm.
There's a lot of togetherness in that team because of what happened. Um, and like I'm not saying that's why they won it. I mean, we didn't play. Our defense in our kick returns were awful. Two kick returns in one game that we gave up. The first one,
There'd been four. There'd been four
the
all
whole
season,
season.
and two happened in your
Yep,
game.
two.
Absolutely insane.
It was just yeah. So opening kickoff, I felt shit already. 7-0 down. To be fair, we came back really well. I think we actually played really well offensively for the
Mm.
first. It seemed that Matt Patricia found play action passes for the first time. Like he remembered how to do those. Um, the team were playing good. Defensively, we were playing okay. Not our best defensive game, but we had spells where our defense was awesome. Just our kick returns just didn't go right. If those two touchdowns are taken off, like obviously I'm not sure if we would have won, but it was a closer game. And yeah, just it was a bit gutting. But at the end of the day, the Pats weren't good enough this season. We would
No,
have been
no.
scraping into the playoffs, and also we would have had to play the Bills in the playoffs again
Yeah, you
at the
chance it.
Bills. It was probably a good thing that we didn't get in because we didn't waste any time. Um, and we just get going for next season. Really, there's no waiting. our loss meant that the Dolphins had to win. No, they didn't have to win, but they had to make sure that they had to win in order to keep the Steelers not from winning, from
What
getting
an
that last
ugly game that was as well, by the way.
awful game.
Ugly game.
11-6.
11-6, just grim.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
just field goals and a safety at the end. So that game gave me hope because the Dolphins are playing awfully. They didn't have obviously Tua, who was also ruled out the first game of the
Yeah,
playoffs
that's big. That's massive. That is
um,
absolutely massive.
because he played awfully. Their quarterback.
What's his
They
name? Oh, what's his name? Just
with
gone.
an S.
Skylar. Skylar
Yeah,
Thompson. Skylar
yeah.
Thompson.
He did not play well at all. They weren't throwing it very well. Um, yeah, I don't. It's going to be tough without Tua. And then the Steelers come from. I can't remember what it was. Something that they've not come from behind from a two scores game like all season or anything.
Yeah.
And do it against the Browns. Um, it'd been quite cool to see them in the playoffs. I think Kenny Pickett and
Slinging it, mate. Slinging it.
and then Pickens absolutely he catches anything.
Yeah.
Pickett Pickens is a duo to they can do some things in next year. Um, but yeah, the Dolphins get in with their win. Probably I don't like the Dolphins, so probably undeserved. They didn't play. And yeah, I think they'll struggle with that too. I don't think they'll get through.
Yeah, not against the Bills, man, at home. Similar to what Sam said about Damar Hamlin. That team is so together right now, and they look like they can run through like a brick wall for him. And I feel like Dolphins without Tua, they're heavily disadvantaged. Heavily
Yeah.
disadvantaged. So I can't see anything but a
With
Bills
Tyreek,
win,
they've
really.
got Tyreek and um, Jalen Waddle,
Hmm.
but I mean Tyreek had a bit of an ankle injury during the game.
Yeah, yeah, he struggled with
Um,
injury, I think.
I
This
think that like they started off well this season, but they've kind of hit the back burners really,
Mhm.
and not done so well. Except, I mean, it's a far we've kind of done the opposite of the Jags,
Yeah, the Jags, man.
who
Jags.
have somehow made it. They were what 3-7, and they ended 9-8, winning the AFC South. What a performance! They obviously had I think the Titans were in there as well, and they started the season off 7-3 and
Hmm.
ended it. Was it
Yeah,
seven
they're
and
on a
ten?
roll, man. I remember talking about them midway through the season, saying that the Titans better watch out, and yeah, they
Lost
just
7 games
crumbled.
in a row to look to end the season. There was a bit of that this season. So obviously the Jags won however many in a row at the end. The Titans lost 7 in a row. Um,
The 49ers have won like God knows how many in a row.
yeah, and I reckon they'll do well this
Yeah,
year.
they're a
Well
decent
before.
team.
Um, who else won quite? Detroit Lions. What an end of season for them. I think they won 5 on the bounce at the end of the season.
Let's
Uh,
talk about that because that was another game that mattered. Not
mm,
not so much for Detroit, but for Green Bay.
that was
They were
tall.
winning in. Green Bay were winning in, and every pundit, you
Yeah.
name it, was calling a Green Bay win after what they did to the Vikings the week prior. And the Lions, man, they turned up.
It was ridiculous. I didn't see that coming. Obviously, it was an early morning game, so I didn't obviously watch it and woke up to it, and I didn't expect it at all. But I mean, the Lions have been something else this season. They've not really been. Some games they've been kind of shut out, but I mean, if they were shut out against us.
Hmm.
But again, when we did play them, they had like the best offense, but the worst defense at the time.
Yeah.
They've really They've really gotten a lot better with their defense. It's come on waves. I think their running back has 17 touchdowns this season.
So ridiculous. Yeah, Jamal Williams. What a character as well. Absolutely
Yeah.
funny guy, man. Very funny guy.
Breaks Barry Sanders' Detroit Lions record of single season touchdowns. Um, so yeah, I think they're a force to be reckoned with next season.
Their play
Uh,
calling, man. Their play calling is so like dynamic against
yeah,
the. I know, really, for them it didn't really matter, but they were throwing out all the trick plays against the Green Bay Packers,
yeah.
like like flea flickers, everything. But yeah, man, I like. We've already said it, haven't we? We said it a couple of times this year. We like the Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions.
Is doing an absolute business there.
Yeah, and Green Bay Packer fans, I bet you're gutted. And I guess that poses the question, where is Aaron Rodgers going to be next year? Do you think that's it? It's finito. He's done out here. Is he going to
I
host
don't see why
Jeopardy,
it
or
wouldn't be.
is he gonna move on, or is he going to stay? What do you reckon?
I think it's difficult. I mean, I saw the posts of him. What was it? Oh, he was somebody was asking for his jersey at the end of the game, and he
Yeah,
said, "I'm going to hang on to this one." Um, and nobody really knows why he'd hang on to a jersey unless he was wanting it for a specific
yeah,
reason.
for retirement purposes.
Exactly. So I can understand why he'd leave at this point. Um, it makes sense. It's probably a natural end in a way, but yeah, big if he does it. I think they've not been. He's not been very good this season.
No, he
Um,
hasn't, man. He hasn't. He's thrown a lot of interceptions. That's for
yeah.
sure.
So I think, and he's not known for his interceptions at all. He always got quite doesn't have many a year.
No.
But yeah, I think he can move on. I think he wasn't on the Pat McAfee show this week or next week because
Why is he not?
he's meeting with Green Bay, has meetings. So I could see him either retiring or going somewhere else. To be fair, I don't really see him many other places. I don't think many other places actually at this moment would want him. Because I
Could you see him at the Raiders connecting with Devonte Adams again, or is that
possibly with Derek Carr going, it probably makes the most sense out of anywhere.
yeah?
Just because I think everywhere is mostly happy with their quarterbacks. Um, so yeah, I suppose the Raiders probably the top choice. But again, I could see him probably retiring instead.
So let's talk about another retirement potential. Well, this one's certified. JJ Watt is officially retired.
Yeah.
Sad time, man. One of the OGs of the game.
Yeah, and what was it, three-time defensive player of the year, more defensive man of the year. He's insane amount of sacks and just an overall nice guy. I think his last game in San Francisco, which was the last stadium we need to play in to complete the set. It all just came together. I mean, he's been riddled with injuries the last couple of seasons. It seems every year that he gets off to a good start and then gets it always seems to be a pec injury or something like that. Um, so yeah, it's sad to see him go. But I mean, there's two others in the league, so I think that we can
Yeah,
always watch.
the league is still got Watt brothers in there and causing trouble to quarterbacks. But yeah, as the season concludes, you do get retirements and sackings. Cardinals have got rid of Cliff Kingsbury, who
Yeah,
apparently signed a contract extension to 2027.
yeah,
Um, and now he's gone. And apparently the Cardinals haven't had a coach that's lasted longer than 6 years.
no
So
exception. Um, I mean, and he could be a pick for our new offensive coordinator
I'm not
at the
saying
Patriots.
anything. Hint,
I've
hint.
seen the rumors. I would very much like that. I think that's a
Um,
good shout. He's
he,
proven with offenses.
would work well with DeAndre Hopkins, would he not, Sam? He'd work well.
Exactly. I think so. I think it would be a good mix. So yeah, I'm hoping we can get DeAndre Hopkins and Cliff Kingsbury. Um, again, as a Patriot, I don't see it happening because we tend to go for them when they're just a bit too far gone.
hmm
Like the Nelson Aguilar, he's probably a year or two out of date in terms of some bits. I don't know how to say it.
Pass
Um,
somebody. Love that.
then so I can see us probably not getting John Hopkins, but I would love it. And I think we're primed to get something like that. But I'd be happy with Cliff Kingsbury as an offensive if we didn't get
Yeah,
anyone,
I'll
because I
take
think our team's pretty good. I'm never too worried about our defense because even most years when we seem to get rid of somebody, I've got rid of three of our best players. Stephen Gilmore's gone.
that.
Carbon went. I think he came back though. We seem to still do all right defensively because he's just the best defensive coach in the
Yeah,
league.
he is. Yeah.
Offensively is where we've always struggled. Obviously we've had Tom Brady, which helps. but offenses where we struggle with plays and stuff. And Matt Patricia hasn't done well this year.
No, not at all. He's coming to fire, and rightly so. Last bit of news before we move on to the postseason. The Pro Bowl have announced a new format. So for those of you that aren't aware, the Pro Bowl is where they all the best players from the season come together and they usually play a game. It's like a fun game. It's not really competitive between the NFC and the AFC. So the best players play the best players. And it's come under fire recently because it's not really a competitive game. They're just there to have a piss about. It's not proper tackling.
There's no tackling, yeah.
Yeah,
Even the
not,
players are like it's a bit of an embarrassment to do.
yeah, and it's always like a joke of a score, and it's just not competitive essentially. But they changed the format this year, so they're doing more or having more of a focus on skill games. Some of them are really random. So you've got the best catch. You've got tic tac toe with the punters and kickers. You've got move the chains, so essentially like a strongman competition. They have to move as a team. They have to move heavy weights past the 10-yard line. You've got dodgeball. Everyone loves dodgeball. The longest drive. This is such a weird one. 4 players from each conference will compete in a challenge to drive a golf ball the furthest distance.
What?
I mean, I don't know what that has to do with American football, but
Yeah.
each their own. Yeah, and there's more little games like that, which I'm more interested in, to be fair, than watching a game that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah. The skill shows have always been the better thing to watch.
Yeah,
Even in recent years, the skill stuff during the week that they've done has been the best bit to watch. So I'm all for it.
yeah, I'm up for that one too. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's the week before the Super Bowl, the Pro Bowl is.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll keep our eyes peeled for that one. So me and Sam have found a Super Bowl predictor, a little tournament tree, if you will, to the Super Bowl. Obviously the postseason is this weekend, and we've got our 2 scenarios lined up. It might be 3 because I've got more of an optimistic one.
Don't use your optimistic one.
Don't use my
Yeah.
optimistic one.
Because I mean, you've got the Vikings winning because obviously you're a Vikings fan. So
All day, wrong side, all day. But yeah, Sam, kick us off, mate. Kick us off.
AFC, my picks may ruffle some feathers. Got the Chargers versus the Jags.
Yeah,
Jags coming home to win.
Jags
got
coming home. That's
Trevor
going to be a
Lawrence got
close
first
game.
playoff win. First playoff win. Getting it. Ravens, Bengals. Bengals coming away with a win. I think that makes sense at the end of the day.
That makes sense. Yeah, they played each other
Playing well.
in week 18, and you know that was the same outcome there. So
Yep. You've got Bills versus Dolphins. Bills winning. These ones at the moment make sense.
yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Yep. Go into the divisional round. Chiefs versus Jags. Jags winning. I've got Jags coming away with a win there. I don't know why. I just have a feeling. Although
No.
I think the Chiefs are one of these teams at the moment that are always in the playoffs, a bit like the Patriots would do. They're always there in the number 1 seed, just sitting there. Even though you haven't seen them do much this year, I've got the Jags coming away with a win.
You're off your rocker, isn't it? You're off your rocker.
Yeah. Then you've got the Bills versus the Bengals. I've got the Bengals winning that. I think that could make sense.
Possible. That's possible. They're very evenly matched, you know, and Joe Burrow, never count him out.
And then I've got in the Bengals Jaguars AFC Championship game, I've got the Bengals coming away with a win there.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Definitely. In the NFC side, we got the Bucks versus the Cowboys. Got the Bucks coming away with a win there.
That is,
Tom Brady in the playoffs. It's hard to beat.
I said to Sam, that is probably the one game I'm really looking forward to. Although it's probably the one game that I can't watch because it's on the early hours in the morning. But that is going to be such a good game.
We've got the Vikings versus the Giants. Rematch of a regular season game this year.
Don't let me down.
The Vikings only just won.
Yeah,
the last I've got the Giants winning that one.
Bollocks, mate.
Giants coming away with the win there. Vikings just can't do it in the playoffs. I've got the San Francisco 49ers and the Seahawks. I've got San Francisco winning that. Seahawks have been playing really well, but the 49ers have really come together and are playing so well. 12-4,
Mm.
superb team. Got the divisional round, Giants versus Eagles. I've got the Giants winning.
Shut the front door, mate.
Both number one seeds losing in the first round of
That
their
is mad.
playoff. And then the San Francisco versus the Bucks. Got the Bucks winning.
I can see
First,
this going.
first losing record, regular season losing record team to get to the championship game. So Bucks versus Giants in the championship game. Bucks getting through to the Super Bowl.
Of
We
course.
have a
Now.
Bucks Bengals Super Bowl. You got Joey Burrow, second consecutive Super Bowl, trying to win his first, trying to redeem himself from last year. You got Tom Brady, the absolute GOAT, getting to his 11th Super Bowl, maybe no 12th Super Bowl, 11th or 12th Super Bowl, going for his 8th win, with a losing record team. I just think it's written in the stars for him to win. I think in the playoffs history, Tom Brady has 5 wins against higher seeds, which is the most. Joe Montana had, I think, maybe 1. Peyton Manning had 0. It's Tom
Says
Brady's
it
going
all,
to.
mate. And I wouldn't be mad at that.
Mm.
Tom Brady wins his 8th, the greatest of all time. We've already settled one debate this summer. Well,
Mm.
this winter, about Messi and Ronaldo. I think
Exactly.
Brady's already solidified the GOAT status, but that would just push it even further. So yeah, I wouldn't be mad. All right, Sam has instructed me to do my realistic Super Bowl prediction, so
Yep.
sorry, Vikings. But yeah, here we go. I've got in the first game, AFC matchup, Jags versus Chargers. I've got the Chargers to progress. This could possibly be the closest game. I think they're probably the most evenly matched
Mm.
two teams, and yeah, I just think they might edge it away from home as well. Yeah, I just think the tale of the two quarterbacks in the first playoff game is a toss up. So I've gone for the Chargers. The Bengals versus the Ravens. I think that's pretty standard. I think the Bengals are going to get the job done. As I
Yeah.
said, they beat him in week 18, and I think Joey Burrow and Co are looking in pretty good nick at the minute.
Mm.
The Bills versus the Dolphins, we've discussed earlier in the podcast, especially without Tua, I don't think the Dolphins have a chance. And the Bills are on a roll right now in good team spirit. So yeah, I think they get the job done pretty comfortably, to be honest.
Yeah.
Moving on to divisional rounds. So you've got the Chiefs, the 1 seed, coming into the tournament now against the Chargers. I think the Chiefs get it done. They took the piss in week 18. Did you see their Springer Ringer Roses play where they just like sort of took the piss at the line scrimmage?
God, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
Counted in the end.
But yeah, I think they're just going to breeze past the Chargers. It'll be close, but I think they'll make it easy work essentially. Bills Bengals. This is a great game,
Mm.
absolutely great game. I'm going to go with the theme. The Bills are gonna roll with it and gonna roll past the Bengals. Unlike Sam's prediction, I think the Bills are just gonna be too strong. Um, all over the park. AFC Championship game, which would be a Bills Chiefs championship game, which
Again.
which these two teams are going to face each other so many more times in the postseason and in years to come. But I've got the Bills doing it. I feel like it's destiny at this stage to get to the Super Bowl at least. Incredibly close game. I think it'll go down to the wire. I think they'll like games we've seen before in the past where time is no sort of object. 13 seconds still get the job done. I think it'll be something similar to that. We'll see some craziness. Then we move to the NFC. So we've got the Cowboys Bucks. I think the Cowboys are just too powerful. I know Sam's on this miracle run.
It's in Tampa. It's in Tampa.
It is in Tampa, I know, but I just feel like they're just too powerful on offense, the Cowboys, and I can't sit through my team, the Vikings, getting beat 40-3 and then hit by the Cowboys and not rate the Cowboys. So the Cowboys are getting the job done.
They get
Um, the Giants Vikings at US Bank Stadium, Minnesota. It's going to be a close game. It always is. It's not. It's never going to be clear cut for the Vikings, and I think we get the job done. Greg Joseph last minute field goal probably. But yeah, no, don't say that. I think we get the job done.
That'd be a bit
Um,
of a
funny you should say that because the next game is the Seahawks, and that didn't go well when we played them. That kick, infamous kick, a few years back. But yeah, the 49ers versus the Seahawks. The 49ers is too powerful. They've got the best defense in the league. Even though they've got Brock Purdy, is it a quarterback? Like they're still
He's
doing the
singing.
business.
Yeah.
Divisional Eagles come into play now against the Cowboys. I think everyone's wanting to watch this matchup. Again with not Gardner Minshew playing, but a proper
Yeah.
quarterback. I think Eagles could get the job done. Vikings versus the 49ers. This is where my realism kicks into it because I think the Vikings are going to lose here. As I said, the 49ers are too good defensively. We've got our big tackle, Brian O'Neill out, and I think they're going to get some pressure on Kirk, and he's gonna throw up some hospital balls.
Yeah.
So that leaves us with the championship game of the 49ers versus the Eagles. 49ers are progressing to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I think they're really, really good. They're on what a stupid game win streak at the moment. Something silly. Yeah, and I just think they're too good. Which brings us to a Bills 49ers Super Bowl. And similar to the World Cup, I actually do think it's destiny. I do think it's
Yeah.
destiny. Like it was destiny that Messi lifted the trophy. I think it's destiny that the Bills and Josh Allen lift that Lombardi trophy for Damar Hamlin. Yeah, I just think that would be quite a fitting way to end it. But obviously, bringing the bias into it, the Vikings win the Super Bowl. I don't think about.
In your optimistic one, who are they beating they're beating the Bills again?
Yeah, they're beating the Bills. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I've not really done too much dissimilar there.
You just put the Vikings through.
Yeah, just the Vikings to beat the Eagles in the championship game. Get a bit of
49ers, yeah, they're on a 10-game win streak.
yeah.
How ridiculous.
But yeah, it's all to play for. The Vikings are on 9:30 on Sunday. Yeah, we'll probably do a recap podcast next week to see how it all goes down. We moved, mate. We moved to football because football's been pretty chaotic as well.
Yeah.
I guess we started with Chelsea because, haha, let's take the piss out of Chelsea.
Good idea.
We've lost twice to City in the space of 3 days. Massive injury crisis. Yeah, it's not looking good. We've made 12 signings now with João Félix, and we've only won 11 games in all competitions. So that just
That's a bit of a mad start, that, isn't
that
it?
is a mad stat. 12 signings, 11 wins. Yeah, I don't really know what to say really. I don't think the problem is Potter. I said in the group chat earlier this week that I never I still go back to the sacking of Tuchel, and I know that we weren't playing well at the time, but that was still such a big shock to me.
Yeah.
I think he was such a world-class manager, and he won the Champions League with us in the space of 6 months, which is unreal if you think about it. But we move on to Potter. Potter needs time, man. I'm not having this nonsense about sacking Potter. I'm just not.
I think he needs time as well. I think your transfer business at the moment is odd. The amount of defenders you're buying is insane. This João Felix, he's a great player. I think his initial move to Atletico Madrid was wrong anyway for his type of play.
Yeah, especially when Diego Simeone plays a certain type of way. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. So I think it was wrong for him in the first place to go to Atletico. So I don't think he's at the top of his game. And to get him on loan for, what was it, 10 mil,
11, I think it is.
as a fee, and then to pay his full contract for 5 months, and but with no buy clause, because he's signing a contract to 2027 with Atletico.
Knowing that Simone's probably going at the end of the season as
Hmm,
well. You know, if Simone stays, you can argue that contract's up in the air. But if Simone goes, you know, he's probably going to stay at Atletico.
yeah, exactly. So I think it's obviously a plaster on a bit of a gaping wound at the moment. Um, I think he will do well for you, but I think it's an odd choice rather than spending. You could have spent half of that much on someone like, I mean, Wout Weghorst could have gone. I think we're getting him for like 3 million. Um, so yeah, I think it's a bit
Yeah,
odd.
there's a lot of mixed emotions on this one because he's a baller, let's be real. He's a hell of a player. And
Hmm.
like you said, he probably will do well. But my biggest fear is the La Liga is so much different to the Premier League. And I've seen time and time again signings from Chelsea that just don't cut it. Sal Niguez last year, he had stinkers in the Premier
Yeah,
League and he took so long to adapt. In the end, by the time when his contract ran out, he was actually turning into a half decent player. You got
yeah.
Higuain, the loan Higuain had,
Awful.
stinker. Pato, the loan he had, stinker.
Yeah.
You know, all these loans, these
I don't think you've had a good loan.
these 5 to 6 months loan from different leagues that you know these young players have not experienced the Premier League before. It can just go terribly wrong. And you see the likes of like Havertz and Werner, like how long they've taken to settle into the Premier League, and even Havertz is having stinkers every so often.
Yeah,
So there is a massive question mark for me whether it's a hell of a lot of money for a loan, and if it doesn't pay off, mate, we're gonna have egg on our face for sure, for
yeah,
sure. So
exactly. You have egg in your face. You've wasted a ton of money. And again, if it does work and you end up going on a massive win streak, he's scoring goals left, right, and centre.
and we get into
Uh,
Champions League football next year. That's the main thing.
yeah,
We need top four football.
but then he fucks off.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
But then if he becomes now your best player and he fucks off at the end of the year, you then have to spend probably another at least 30 mil on a striker like him.
I mean, we've got Ngunku coming into the club next year, but you know, with the players that you're potentially offloading, i.e., Hakim Ziyech, Pulisic, Aubameyang's probably gone. You're going to
Yeah.
need cover for right back. You're going to need a new central midfielder, especially if Jorginho's off and
Yeah.
Kante's injury prone. You know, you're going to have
Kante's out
to.
of contract at the end of the year.
I think they're going to rework it. I'm
Yeah,
hearing
I
rumors
think
they're
he
going to
will.
rework it, but I don't know. I agree with you though, Sammy. He's got massive injury worries
Mm.
because of the way he plays football. But yeah, I the thing is with Chelsea at the minute, money's no object, is it? Because
No.
this Todd Bowley, you know, he's coming in, he's just splashing the cash. It's not like we're on a tight budget. You know, I don't even know if financial fair play is a thing at the minute. Like, who knows anymore with what City and PSG have done over the past couple of years. But yeah, I just worry that, you know, we're going to become a team of individuals. Felix is going to bugger off. You know, he's going to potentially flop. I can see the concerns there,
Yeah,
but only
definitely.
time will tell, man. Only time will tell. But he's a hell of a player. He's a baller. He's a baller. But whether he can,
Again, I think he could play well, but it's an if. Um, yeah, just an odd choice, I think.
it's just a weird time at Chelsea right now. Weird time. I think hopefully we've
Right.
got Reece James and Chilwell coming back eventually. I think they're both back in training now. But yeah, weird time. Anyway, let's move on to more positive
It's
news.
great for me. I'm loving it.
So move on to more
Been
positive
nice
news.
for so long.
Yeah, mate, our two teams have done the flip, like
Yeah,
since last talked. United, are they dark horses for the Premier League? Like Rashford's in unreal form. Like, what is going on?
we twice again last night off the bench. I don't think we've conceded maybe one in the last few games. We've won, I think, our last 9 home games. Um, yeah, it's really odd. Like we're playing good football, defending well. I mean, David De Gea's interesting
Oh
antics and
yeah.
goal aside, um, we still won the game, so I'm fine with it. But yeah, it's we're playing really well. We're 4 points off City, and we play
Yep.
them this weekend. So I mean, I think it's probably a tough ask to say we win the game, um, but we could draw, and then we're still 4 points off.
Anything can
9 points
happen,
off
man. Anything can
Arsenal.
happen. So
Exactly. 9 points off Arsenal, and Arsenal could do an Arsenal. Um,
they've got to play City twice, I think, still. So there's potential points to be dropped there as well for Arsenal.
exactly. For both teams. We'll be happy if one team wins one each, and then they've both
Yeah.
got 1 point. Yeah, it's refreshing. Obviously, we're up there at the moment with Newcastle, which seems a bit odd. But yeah, if we've got a game in hand on Newcastle, and we're a point behind, so I think we've got third at the moment, and that's Ten Hag is like a 75% win rate at this moment.
It's mad. You know what I find funny? Obviously, you signed Weghorst, is
Yeah,
his name properly pronounced. Um, decent player. You know, he's shown his quality in the Euros. You know, big
yeah.
target man, different way of playing.
I think
Um,
that it's just different options. I think that's what Eric Ten Hag has done well is changing the game up at the
mhm.
moment. We're not playing the game the same way like throughout the 90 minutes. He will make changes and his subs do well.
The funny story that you said as well in the group chat is Abubakar coming to United? Because that I find that hilarious that he's gone.
Also,
You know, if Ronaldo's just booting him out of the club, his contract's been terminated, and is he going to be replaced? Is he going to be replaced?
honestly.
Abubakar always turns up though. You can't
Yeah.
deny it in tournaments.
Oh God, no. I don't think he'll come because now we've got Weghorst. I don't think that he fits in at the moment.
No.
Um, but I mean, I'll take him. Another option. Again, like at the moment, we're doing well with like kind of super subs.
Hmm.
Obviously, Rashford came off last night. Scored twice, get 3-0. Um, it's refreshing. It's fun to watch, um, and it's just breath of fresh air in some ways.
Yeah, it's
We're
true.
playing well in all competitions. So I know like when we had Solskjaer, we what didn't lose a home an away game for the whole season or whatever, but we were on and off. We've been consistent, and that consistency wins for like tournaments and
100%.
competitions. So semi-finals of the EFL Cup, great. That's good progress. Um, I think next fourth round of the FA Cup with a good win at the weekend. Third in the Premier League. Yeah, I can't really complain at the moment, and I don't want to jinx it. I'm going to touch wood, but yeah, I'm very happy as a United fan at the moment.
Let's move on quickly to another League Cup semi-finalist, Newcastle, mate. Newcastle
Mm,
are through for I think the first time in a long time. I saw quite a funny video from the Newcastle dressing room after the game. Eddie Howe was doing a little team speech, and he mentioned Dan Burn because I think Dan Burn is a Newcastle born and bred. I think he's a
yeah,
Newcastle fan. First goal for the club, big centre half, and you see his like weird dance moves or
yeah.
whatever he was doing. I thought that was hilarious, man. It looked like
Did you
all
see his
right.
goal though?
Yeah.
It was a pretty cracking goal.
Where did he come from?
Honestly, like why? Why is he there?
I don't understand why he's there.
Yeah, Newcastle are doing bits at the moment.
You can't, mate. The atmosphere there at the St James's Park. Is it called St James's Park anymore? Is it still called St James's Park?
I don't know. I think so.
After the Sports
Oh,
Direct
no,
Arena, I think
yeah, I
it's
was going
gone
to
back.
sports director in here.
It's gone back to its original name. But yeah, the atmosphere there are rocking. They've got towels, like kind of like Pittsburgh Steelers. They're
Mm,
whipping their towels around. Yeah, man, it's a good time to be a Newcastle fan. That's for sure.
definitely.
Um, and then Bale's announced his retirement this
I
past week
know.
as well. Um,
A lot of debate at the moment. Is he the best British player of all time?
this is the question. This is the question.
It's hard to say no.
It's hard to argue. He's obviously probably one of the most high profile, I'd
Mm,
imagine. You know, Harry Kane is still at Tottenham, but you know he's not made a big money move and done it in another league in the Champions League. You know.
no. And I think obviously the main thing, obviously, Gareth Bale had 0 trophies, moved, has now got like 20 to his name.
Hmm.
Um, he's the only British person to win 5 Champions Leagues.
Mad, absolutely
I don't think any have won four. So
mad.
I think it's hard to argue that he's one of the best. He's scored some of the best goals, Probably the best Champions League final goal of all time.
Definitely the most underrated. No one talks about the
Honestly,
goal
no
enough.
one talks about it. I don't get it. It annoys me every time I see the goal because I'm like, that's ridiculous that happened,
Yeah.
and nobody talked about it. It wasn't even up for a Puskas award or anything like
No,
that.
no.
Ridiculous. Um, he went and did it in Spain. Was part of one of the biggest dynasties of a front three in football with Benzema,
Mm-hmm.
Bale, and Ronaldo. Underrated in those three as well. He scored more goals for Real Madrid than the OG Ronaldo.
Mm-hmm.
More assists than Beckham. Like he's so underrated at Real Madrid, and they hate him for some reason, and it that annoys me.
Yeah, I remember when they're throwing like stones at his car and stuff. Like it's madness, bonkers.
And in terms of he hasn't done it for country. His country is Wales, and he's gotten to a World Cup, got to a Euro semi-final. I think he's
Yeah,
done as much as he could do for Wales. Um, and then he goes and did you see the MLS Cup this year?
yeah, I did. Yeah, I saw that.
Ridiculous game, pops up in the last minute, score a header,
Header,
uh,
yeah.
and that gets him through to penalties, wins on penalties. Like I don't think you can deny him being probably the best British player of all time.
That is a very good argument, Sam. I'm not gonna lie. You brought us some mad stats there, and also for me as well. Like purely on a single game like performance, that game that he
Mm.
had against Inter Milan where he just tore Mike on an absolute new one was
Yeah.
like that really like I haven't seen a performance like that. There's only a few that I can like think of that
No,
one mad performance like that completely dominated Inter, like a team that was full of Champions League experience. Tottenham didn't have any, let's be real. And yeah, absolutely insane performance and
mm.
one that really, really stood out to me. To be fair, but yeah, I you can't argue it, can you? He probably is the greatest British player of all time.
Yeah.
You know. Let's move on to some other sports. Let's fly through some tennis. I thought you want to talk about tennis because it's the Australian Open coming up
Yeah,
soon.
Australian Open starts soon. Djokovic is probably playing. He's been
Yep.
allowed into Australia this year. Probably win it now. So um,
Yeah, you probably will.
looking good.
Carlos Alcaraz is out, isn't he? World number
Yeah.
one. He's out.
Yeah. Quite annoying. Obviously, what you want the world number one to be there. But not the end of the world. I don't think that surface is his best, but I mean he's won US Open, so it's not like it's
Yes.
his worst. But it'll be interesting to see how Djokovic plays. I think he'll play great again. I think he'll probably win it. He's probably the favourite. Um, British players have been playing on it in the qualifiers. I think there's three girls who got through the first round of qualifiers. Liam Brody, I think, lost. And I think obviously you got Raducanu who's meant to be playing. She's in the main draw,
Yeah,
but
she's
technically injured. She
yeah,
rolled her ankle in a warm-up tournament.
yeah,
So
she's had another injury setback. Apparently, she described the court as slippy.
mm,
And yeah, she rolled her ankle. But yeah, it's touch and go whether she's gonna compete or not. So
yeah,
it's one of those.
I think it's what she does. I think Iga Swiatek is probably again one of the favourites.
Yeah, she's insane,
She
man.
dominated tennis last year completely. I think if she had half the amount of WTA points that she did, she'd still be number one in the world.
Wow, that's crazy.
Um, which she's doing absolute bits. Naomi Osaka pulled out of the tournament. She's been kind of coming and going with tournaments so far, but she actually has just today announced that she's actually pregnant.
Yeah, I was gonna say that to you. Yeah, she's fair play to her.
So yeah, it'd be an interesting tournament, I think,
Mm-hmm.
especially after this kind of world champions of tennis thing they did, that was USA one. USA have great few players who could do
Mm-hmm.
well this year
Yeah.
as well. So,
Do you know that Djokovic and Kyrgios are playing like some sort of weird friendly game this Friday? Apparently, Nick Kyrgios has been like sort of touch and go. He's had a few injuries of his own, I think. But yeah, they're playing this weird like pre-tournament friendly, and I think there's been a lot
apparently
of
it
like
sold out in like 50 seconds.
yeah, apparently like sold out like that. But there's
Hmm.
been a lot of like pros that are like sort of condemning it and saying like it's a bit weird that you're playing a friendly just before the tournament.
Hmm.
getting to know your competitor. You know, you don't want to cause injury. You know, it's one of those. It's just a little bit of a
I don't see why they'd be upset about it. I think it's an odd thing to see two players play an exhibition match literally like a week or two before the season starts in Australia, and that starts. Um, so yeah, I don't think I mind it. I think it's probably good for the sport to have a few more exhibition games in that sense.
yeah.
Because otherwise you're always paying to watch these top players at Grand Slams where the money's like it costs a lot of money. So I think it's good for the sport. I think Kyrgios is a mixed one for the sport. I think there are good things and there are bad things. Like he's still got this. I think his court case going on about with his ex
Yeah.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
So yeah, a bit iffy, but it'll be interesting.
He's popcorn TV though, and he, you know, love him or hate him, he provides entertainment. Let's be real.
Okay.
You know, we'll obviously see what happens with this court situation, but you know, I'm sure he's going to be quite entertained on this Breaking Point show that's coming out as well. I think that's coming out 13th, I think. So yeah, we should see about the Australian Open. F1, it's officially 53 days until lights out, Sam. So the
Yeah.
first Grand Prix. I don't know also if you follow much podcast YouTube world kind of news, but the WTF1 podcast, they sort of split up the two guys that do that, and they provided a lot of sort of insightful knowledge on
Yeah.
F1 world. And also just a random thing to tell you, but me and Daisha finally booked to go to the Silverstone Museum.
Yeah.
On
How have
both.
you?
Can't wait. Apparently, it can take off 3 hours. So
It can. It can be long if you take ages to walk around everything.
yeah.
It's good.
Quickly touch on golf as well. Shout out to Callum, one of our good mates, our best mate to be fair. He started his own YouTube channel, Callum Howell Golf. All things golf. He's playing round. He's doing little games. Driving at the driving range. Little commentary over the top. It's a nice watch. So if anyone's into golf, definitely check that out because this is an absolute boy. And also, did you know, Sam, that there is a Drive to Survive style golf PGA Tour docu series coming out in February.
I think I saw something on Twitter the other day, but I didn't realize that was so soon.
Yeah, it's coming out in February. It features McIlroy, Poulter, Koepka, Spieth, and
Fairs.
many more. So I think I might give that a watch because
Yeah.
I actually don't know that much about golf, to be fair. In cricket, Jofra Archer's back playing cricket again, which is amazing to see. Weird though, he's playing in the South African T20 League. Don't know why.
Yeah.
Just a bit random.
I don't really get it, but
I thought he was like in the IPL or something, but
so did I. So I was trying to search it up, and I was like, I didn't realize it was South African.
I don't know why he's playing there. Or maybe it's just to ease him back in if the quality is no
Probably.
disrespect. But to South African T20 League. Any other
Oh.
sports news that you want to bring up? Or
An interesting one in terms of have you seen Gerard Piqué's new football league?
yeah, what is that all about?
How weird does that sound?
What is it? Like a seven-a-side tournament, but with like ex-pros or something like that? What is it?
Yeah, and also like there's one pro called like the Enigma, who is a pro that's not been allowed to play by his team, and so he plays in a mask like Rey Mysterio.
I've seen that. I saw that this afternoon. Oh, this bonkers.
So yeah, I don't really get it, but fairs. It's just really odd. And like the rules are different. There's like sin bins, there's golden cards, which is like you get to pick a golden card, and whichever on the back you can start off with a penalty or something like that.
Bizarre, mate. Absolutely
Very
bizarre.
odd.
Trying to keep in tradition from last year, do you have any shockers or heroes of the week? Or is the league the shocker? I don't know.
I mean, I think the Enigma is the shocker. What's he doing? He's been specifically told not to play in this league by his club, and now he's off gallivanting with everyone. Really odd, but
I've got
yeah,
I've got two. I've got one that's non-sporting related and one that's sporting related. The non-sporting related, Wakey Wines.
oh God,
Wakey Wines selling bottles of
Wakey Wines.
£500. I don't know what's more of a shocker. The the people buying them or the shop for selling them. But there's, I don't know, a bit of a conspiracy, but surely you can't be selling them for 100 quid. Is it like some sort of publicity stunt? I don't know.
Don't know. It's awful, whatever it is.
But yeah, and then the sports related one is Lucas Podolski. Sam brought this up in our group chat. I think it was like last week. But he got sent off in a charity tournament. Got red carded, which you don't see that very often. So I thought that was pretty funny.
He pretty much like shoved the referee and stuff in the face and was like, "It's a friendly." It was like a five. It's like a six-a-side friendly as well. It wasn't even like a full-on. Yeah. So
I saw a little clip and he just completely lost his head, completely gone. And then do you have a hero to wrap up the pod?
Damar Hamlin.
Damar Hamlin, yeah, I like that one. And also on that same theme, I was going to go Sebastian Haller as well. Sebastian Haller's come back and played in a friendly game this week. So yeah, that's great to see. That brings the end of the podcast. We might have a special guest next week, but we'll bring you more info on that. Cheers for listening, everyone, and a happy new year. And yeah, let's hope for a good B2B sports year. Yeah, and peace out and enjoy the weekend of sport.